Howdy, howdy, y'all. It is another Maharaj episode. It is chapter 48 Awareness is Free. So, I enjoyed this chapter quite a bit, and I think it's because this one's I always like the conversations Maharaj has with people who are like a bit more advanced or a little bit closer already to his school of thought, who may not be, who are almost who are on the right path or already, who are pretty much on their way there. And it's a lot of him, like, I guess you can almost see it as like a sort of just like correcting a few points here and there and blah, blah, blah. But otherwise, overall, just, being like, yeah, you're on your way. And I felt like it was a little bit of that going on. Especially at the beginning, it started out like a very much you can tell because his whole this person's whole thing is they concentrate on the who am I instead of just like the I am. It's the who am I. The particular they just arrived. They said they had just arrived from Sri Ramanashram, Ramashrama. Ramanashram. But and they have been spent 7 months there with this particular individual, and so that's kind of where you start. And so right away, you're like, oh, okay, this guy's made a bit more with it, and I definitely think I would say, um, I like at one point too, especially they talk about they like separate um, out some terms. They separate out mind and consciousness and awareness and yeah, for example, the questioner says, as I can make out, you give distinct meanings to the words mind, consciousness, and awareness. Maharaj, look at it this way. The mind produces thoughts ceaselessly. Even when you do not look at them, when you know what is going on in your mind, you call it consciousness. This is your waking state. Your consciousness shifts from sensation to sensation, from perception to perception, from idea to idea, in endless succession. Then comes awareness, the direct insight into the whole of consciousness, the totality of the mind. The mind is like a river flowing ceaselessly in the bed of the body. You identify yourself for a moment with some particular ripple and call it my thought. All you are conscious of is your mind. Awareness is the cognizance of consciousness as a whole, which is wow. Awareness is the consciousness of consciousness as a whole. Oof, that's a deep point. And so the question is, everybody's conscious, everybody, but not everybody is aware. Maharaj, don't say everybody is conscious. Say there is consciousness in which everything appears and disappears. Our minds are just waves on the ocean of consciousness. As waves, they come and go. The, the ocean, they are infinite and eternal. Know yourself as the ocean of being, the womb of all existence. These are metaphors, of course. The reality is beyond description. We know it only by being it. So, like, yeah, with both of these points, he especially likes using the water metaphors. A big water metaphor guy, river and oceans. But I think we can understand what he's trying to get at, right? Like that. I like that he is taking the time to sparse these ideas out. Cause yeah, it's we always kind of just group this all like, and we always kind of put mind is like, oh, this awareness and consciousness are happening in the mind, but we don't think about the idea of like awareness, for example, being like this much bigger blanket. I think that's how he's trying to describe it. That this ultimate I am is is the observer, is this thing that ultimately is stepping back. That's the way I always like think of it. Is to ultimately is there's you taking a step back, and how far you can take the step back, and how much can you take the step back. That is like being able to look at yourself from the outside and look at your universe from the outside and like everything from the outside, you know? So, but that's ultimately what that ultimately does is what he calls for as well as looking within. Um, and even a questioner. I like this. At one point, the questioner asks, as you talk to us just now, are you unconscious? Maharaj, I am neither conscious nor unconscious. I am beyond the mind in its various states and conditions. Distractions are created by the mind and applied to the mind only. I am pure consciousness itself, unbroken awareness of all that is. I am in a more real state than yours. I am undistracted by the distractions and separations which constitute a person. As long as the body lasts, it has its needs like any other, but my mental process has come to an end. And I like the questioner way he responds. Like you behave like a person who thinks, which is a good point, right? Like, well, you seem like you're thinking and doing stuff. Like, what's up with that? And I love Maharaj's response to this too. That's what I love about a lot of these conversations. I love how the questioner responds to what Maharaj says, and I love then how Maharaj responds. So I just that's what a source of a good conversation is. I mean, right? Ultimately, it's a good back and forth, right? And so Maharaj says, "Why not? But my thinking, like my digestion, is unconscious and purposeful." Questioner, if your thinking is unconscious, how do you know that it is right? Maharaj, there's no desire nor fear to thwart it. What can make it wrong? Once I know myself and what I stand for, I do not need to check on myself all the time. When you know that your watch shows correct time, do you not hesitate each time you consult it? Which is a good point, right? Like when you know your I mean, obviously you'd be more like, well, our cell phone, right? But you don't be like, oh, is this thing the correct time? I mean, maybe you're just going over a time zone, but that's about it. Did it switch over to the correct time zone yet? That's pretty much like the only time, really, right? Or maybe daylight, but even then, that's the point, right? When you know it's correct, you don't worry, and that's how you got to be able to know yourself in that in the same way you know that the clock is telling the correct time. But that same when you have that same sort of certainty, that's or when we're like some sort of equivalent of our electronics, especially our technology, right? When you plug something in, you see that little charging point, and you know it's charging. At least because it said so, right? Obviously, if your thing's electronic is malfunctioning, that's a little different. But the point stands, right? Like when you know it, you gotta have to know yourself in that same sort of certainty of like, yeah, this is me. This is what I am. Um, and of course, Maharaj once again mentions his guru and how and his guru taught him the I am. Um, and I'm trying to think what else in here is anything that's worth really kind of mentioning, because especially at this point, a lot of this does kind of is somewhat similar to a lot of the other conversations. I mean, they all are. Like I said, this is always hammering home some points. So always hammering in like these same points, and that's what I love about this, because sometimes you just need to do that. I didn't find it interesting to mention East Pakistan. It's like a questioner was just trying to, and in fact, there's questioner says, are you not at all concerned about the state of the world? Look at the horse of East Pakistan, now Bangladesh. Do they not touch you at all? Maharaj, I read newspapers. I know what is going on, but my reaction is not like yours. You're looking for a cure, while I am concerned with prevention. As long as there are causes, there must also be results. As long as people are bent on dividing and separating, As long as they are selfish and aggressive, such things will happen. If you want peace and harmony in the world, you must have peace and harmony in your hearts and minds. Such change cannot be imposed and must come from within. Those who abhor war must get war out of their system. Without peaceful people, how can you have peace in the world? As long as people are as they are, the world must be as it is. I am doing my part in trying to help people know themselves as the only cause of their own misery. In that sense, I am a useful man. But what I am in myself, what is my normal state, cannot be expressed in terms of social consciousness and usefulness. I may talk about it, use metaphors or parables, but I am acutely aware that it is just no so. What not that it cannot be experienced, it is experiencing itself, but it cannot be described in terms of a mind that must separate and oppose in order to know. The world is like a sheet of paper on which something is typed. The reading and the meaning will vary with the reader, but the paper is the common factor, always present, rarely perceived. When the ribbon is removed, typing leaves no trace on the paper. So is my mind. The impressions keep on coming, but no trace is left. So I think on that note, I'll end it on that note because, especially with everything going on in the world right now, um, and that's probably going to be, hopefully in the future this won't apply, but probably will. So yeah, with everything going on in the world right now, that's I think as good as you can end it, honestly. Because yeah, it's all about we gotta start. If you want to have peace in the world, first you gotta start within here. And once you can have that internal peace, oh, just start spreading that. You start spreading that internal peace, and over time, yeah, people are just going to be more peaceful. And the more people have more internal peace, the better of a society you can have. That's once again, I mean, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna. I mean, that's what. Pretty sure that's kind of what he was trying to do, right? Like, essentially, he wanted a society of enlightened people. So, because yeah, really, that is the goal. That is the ultimate ideal. It's just a matter of how we do it, right? Anyways, hope y'all have a good one. See y'all later. Peace.